Welcome into today's episode of Pushing the Pile, brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. Make every moment more. Mike Renner here, joined by Pete Prisco, Leger Duzable, live, actually not live, from Indianapolis here at the Combine. Drills are going on right now. We will talk about those after the weekend goes on. But right now, a bunch of stories, fellas, here that hit today. Which one do you want to talk about? We got Abdul Carter with the stress reaction in his foot. We got Travis Kelce confirmed to be returning 2025. We got Trey Smith, guard, tagged by the Kansas City Chiefs. Let's start with the Abdul Carter news. Stress reaction. Have you ever even heard of that, Pete? You've been around this for forever.
No, but it's what happens before you break it.
Correct.
I mean, so it has to either be rested or be fixed.
Okay.
And you can't – I think he needs to rest it and not take part in his pro day and then let it go from there. And everybody will say, well, if you don't take part in your pro day, what's good? Who cares?
Exactly.
Who cares if he takes part in his pro day? You want him healthy when it's time to play football, and I think ultimately that's what he's going to do.
Yeah, I had something similar to this injury on the top of my foot, and it was like Pete said, the doctor told me no weight-bearing stuff for about 2 months. I would get an MRI, check to see if it lingered or was a little bit better. It was better. Then I was able to resume all my activity and train to get ready for the NFL season. I did that for about 5 or 6 years. Now, after I finished playing, because of the wear and tear, I am going to have to get some things cleaned up. And that's something that Abdul Carter maybe has to weigh in, right? Will this be in a long-term effect or not? But I'm with Pete. As players, we never want to go under the knife, right? There's so much stuff to be left to interpretation, right? Infection could happen. Something could go wrong with the surgery. And then even talking about your healing process and rehabbing, like that can go to the left. So like if a doctor tells him 2 months, stay off of it, no weight-bearing stuff, we'll revisit it. If everything is good, then you can go on. But I'm like, Pete, what does he need to show at pro day right now?
Nothing. By the way, if he's an old man like you and he needs a surgery, you need not worry about it.
Exactly.
Right now. Worry about it down the road when you're 50 like Leger.
50 is crazy.
Yeah, to me, it's not like some guys, Will Johnson opted out of testing today. A lot of the Michigan guys did. He needs to test, though, pre-draft. I think a lot of people say to get where he wants to be drafted, he'll need to test.
Yeah.
Abdul Carter, to get drafted where he wants to draft, he could not even work out from now until to the NFL draft, right? It's like Chase Young didn't test. Marvin Harris Jr. didn't test. When you're that guy, you don't have to test. So I don't think it's a big deal. Abdul Carter. Travis Kelce, though, returning. Chiefs tagging Trey Smith. The Kelce news, I think,
the news of the news was that he's going to get in shape.
Yeah.
That's the news.
Did he say it?
He said that.
That's what he said.
He said he's going to be in the best shape of his life because he was in the worst shape of his life last year.
Shape.
He was not good. I mean, let's be real. It was a shell of himself. And getting him in shape is important. If you're going to play football, you got to be in shape. Not only that, there were plays in Super Bowl where he loafed. I mean, he really did. He did not put an all-out effort in there, and that's concerning. So if you're going to come back, be Travis Kelce.
Yeah.
Don't be I'm gallivanting all over the world, Kelce. Be Travis Kelce, the football player.
And that's the interesting thing because we just talked about this, Pete. Like, Father Time is undefeated. And one thing I noticed.
Other than this seat.
I hear you on that. One thing I did realize when I was playing and I was getting up to year 6, 7, 8, 9, stuff that you could do in year 2 or 3, you can't do it year 8, 9, 10, 11. So, like, you talked about it. Yes, he lives a fun life, right? He has a podcast with his brother. He's dating one of the most famous people in the world. But if you want to get back to the pinnacle and being the Travis Kelce who you are, you're going to have to make some sacrifices, right? And that comes to training, your eating habits, getting rest, right? Subsequent rest. I know I sound like an old dude, but you got to get that rest the older you get in the league. So that'll be interesting. He said he had a bad taste in his mouth. We're going to see how focused he's going to be this offseason.
Yeah, and even if, he doesn't get back any athleticism, doesn't lose any weight, it's like what he does in that offense doesn't require athleticism. It just requires being on the same page with Patrick Mahomes in a way that, a Noah Gray really can't. Other guys, Jared White, who they just drafted, really just probably are never going to be able to. It's a unique connection they have. And so getting him back, I think, a big.
But he does have to be in shape, though.
That helps.
I mean, even what he's doing has changed. Sitting down in zones more and that type of thing instead of running away from people. You still have to be in shape.
Correct.
Trey Smith tagged.
Man.
Do we think this is for a long-term deal, or do we think this is for a tag and trade?
It's for a long-term deal. We had Brett Beach here the other day, and he said basically they want to make sure that they keep him or do everything they can. I think this is just a precursor to a deal. This number is outrageous for a guard, in large part because they keep the tackles in the number when they come up with the franchise tag number. So they have to do a long-term deal. I think they will do a long-term deal. The one thing we knew about the Chiefs for the run in the last couple of years has been the interior of the offensive line has been great.
Best in the league.
They had to move Tooney to tackle, and that really weakened them on the interior. Bring those guys back, get it back together, and then figure out the tackle spot.
This is my thing. Me and Pete were talking about this earlier, and I had JJ get in on this conversation. And I wondered, would Trey Smith try to go the Kirk Cousins route? Now, it's chancy, right, because you're banking on being healthy throughout this whole year. But if you are healthy, you make $3 more million in the next guard in the league.
Yeah.
And then you get to hit free agency again.
Still young.
But it's a risk because you have to stay healthy the entire season and play still high-level football.
I don't think, though, from the Chiefs' perspective, they just want $27 million sitting on the cap for a guard this year.
I mean, he could play hardball, though.
He could. He definitely could. I mean, what's the tag? That's like the worry with tag, but I'm guessing they've had conversations. I am interested, though, if it is a tag and trade, but I do think so because they did it last year, right? L'Jarius Sneed. They tagged him, traded him to the Tennessee Titans. So they just did it a year ago, but they only got a third for L'Jarius Sneed. Would someone give up a third? Because that's what you get a competitive.
You got to still pay him, too. You got to think about that.
So is someone going to give up a third?
They might get a fourth or fifth, but I
could see a top of the fourth.
Yeah.
And if you're the Chiefs, like,
is it worth it?
Pick a year earlier.
Is it worth it for the Chiefs to trade him for a 4 rather than give him a long-term contract?
I mean, is it better than losing him for nothing in free agency though?
But here's tagging him is the right decision, but tagging him and signing him to an extension, I think. If you're the Chiefs and the one thing that you saw from the Super Bowl is you couldn't protect your quarterback, why would you weaken yourself and have a position of concern to add to the whole equation? It makes no sense to me.
But that's the issue. Now you're going to have 3 of the highest paid interior linemen, and your offensive tackles are in disarray. So, I mean, again, Ronnie Stanley's out there. We both think that Baltimore is going to get a deal with him. But if you're the Chiefs, I'd be trying to knock down every door to get a left tackle in the worst way. And paying Trey Smith does not help you with that right now.
Yeah, I think they.
I love him. But I think they should either tag him and trade him, or just let him go in free agency.
I do agree that you tag Trey Smith, you pay Trey Smith, you have the highest paid interior offensive line in the NFL, like by miles.
It's not even close.
It's the best.
It's the best.
It is.
It's the highest paid.
But Mahomes still getting killed at the offensive tackle position.
Exactly. There's no more money left over for tackle. What do? Your back end of the first round pick is not going to be a starting offensive tackle for you. You're banking on Kingsley Suamataia, Wanya Morris. It's like they could be in the exact same spot they were at the end of this year.
For sure.
I don't know. I'm finding a way to. I'd get that number down to where it's lesser, and you can still find if you give them a long-term deal, the number's going to be less on the cap this year. You can go out and sign a tackle.
That is the thing, and that's going to be interesting to watch in free agency because the salary cap did increase from $23.8 million from last year, $279.2 million. The trend is just through the roof, darn near 10% year-on-year increase. I think smart teams are just going to be going out in free agency and saying we'll backload some of these contracts because the cap just keeps going up at this point.
Right, you backload the contract, but you also do the best thing about keeping your own. You draft and develop and keep your own. And that's why you look at the free agency list. It isn't a lot. There aren't a lot of big names on that list because teams have done a great job of developing and paying their own. Yep. And like you said, you backload it and you don't have to worry about it. Now, ultimately, you got to pay the price at some point. Like the New Orleans Saints are finding out, you have to pay the price. Or if you do a bad deal and give Deshaun Watson guaranteed money, you got a problem with that as well. But again, if you're smart, you can figure out the cap, and that's why I talk about with the guy like Trey Smith. If you give him a long-term deal, you narrow that number down, you still have money to go spend on a left tackle.
You think Cincinnati, because this number has juiced up, that they potentially tag T. Higgins?
I think T. Higgins is getting a new contract. I think Jamar Chase is getting a new contract, and I think Trey Hendrickson is getting a new contract. Yes,
I think they can do it. I mean,
they have cap room,
and
it just takes a lot of cash, but they can do it, and I think they will do it.
I think they get T, they get Jamar. I don't think they go with Trey.
Well, he's got
older.
1 more year left in his deal.
They got Miles Murphy. He's got 1 more year left. They're just going to call
Miles Murphy hasn't panned out.
But
no, he hasn't panned out.
Sam
you're
going
to let a guy who's had 17.5 sacks the last 2 years go out the door.
Well, I think they're going to call his bluff. Not call his bluff, but just say, hey, we got 1 more year on your deal. Sorry.
And show us again.
Yeah.
And if he shows him again, then what do you do?
Well, then you let him walk because he's 31 years old after that. I don't know.
I'm not letting him walk.
I mean, guys are playing at 35 now, though.
True. But there is, the age curve.
It does.
It does.
So,
but I'm not letting him go.
He was the best defensive player you had, and your defense was abysmal last year.
No, would I give him a 5-year extension for mega dollars? No, but I'd give him a 2-year. Give him some more money in his pocket. Yeah.